Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're all having a fantastic day, and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Today, we're in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota, about to take a short flight from Minneapolis over to Detroit, Michigan on Delta Airlines in the Airbus A350-900. Flight time is scheduled for 1 hour and 12 minutes, and we'll be cruising at an altitude of 41,000 feet. With all that being said, let's jump inside the cockpit and get the plane ready for departure. Enjoy the flight. Okay, welcome to Gate Gulf 13 here in Minneapolis, and welcome aboard the A350-900, one of the newest aircraft to be placed into service in real life and to be released into Microsoft Flight Simulator. We are currently in a cold and dark state here on the ground, so we'll need to get the plane all powered up before we start the boarding. We'll go ahead and do that now. We'll come on up to the overhead panel and start the power up procedures. We'll get the batteries 1, 2, 3, and 4 on. We'll get external powers 1 and 2 on. And we now have power. We'll let everything start running its tests. We'll get the ADIRS left side, right side, and center all to the nav position. It'll take about 7 minutes for those to align. We'll continue on down this side of the panel. Crew supply to the on position. Cap switch checked. Strobes are off. Beacon off. Nav lights on. Logo lights on. All other lights off. APU master start switch to the on position. No smoking to the on position. No mobile to auto, and emergency exits to the armed position. And everything else is looking good on the overhead panel, and we are up and running. As you can see, all the screens have powered up. Now that everything's up and running, we can go ahead and take a look at all of the numbers for our flight today, as well as the routes we're going to be taking. We are flying today as Delta Airlines Flight 1484, going from Minneapolis over to Detroit. We're going to be departing Minneapolis to the southeast before heading directly east over Lake Michigan. We'll also fly just to the north of Milwaukee. We'll then be turning again to the southeast and heading into Detroit. Cruising altitude today is going to be flight level 410 or 41,000 feet, and we are scheduled for 1 hour and 12 minutes in the air. For the onboard numbers, we have just a little under 357,000 pounds for our zero fuel weight. Fuel on board today, we have a little under 29,000 pounds of fuel. Our zero fuel weight CG is 28.9, and we are carrying a total of 211 passengers today. And apparently, 15 of you decided to spend the big bucks and go fly into lay flatbeds for the whopping hour we're going to be in the air. And those are all the numbers for our flight today. We can go ahead and now get the boarding process started and get the passengers on.
Good afternoon.
All right, passengers are boarding. Bags are currently being loaded on. We can now go ahead and work on our flight plan in the McDo. If you've flown the A380 before, you might recognize this newer electronic McDo that Airbus is using. It's in the A350 as well. We'll go ahead and move over to the init page. And we'll go ahead and get all of this information pre-filled. We'll do a company flight plan request. It's going to take a few minutes for that to load in. There we go. It's received the company flight plan. We'll go ahead and select that and insert. There's all our information. Delta 1484, Minneapolis to Detroit. Alternative Cleveland, cruise flight level 410, cost index of 61. From there, we'll move on over to the flight plan. Select that. I'll just make sure all of these en route waypoints are correct. All of the en route waypoints are correct, so we can now go work on our departure information from Minneapolis. We don't have any ATC on here today. We are on VATSIM, but there's no ATC on, so we'll just get the current weather for Minneapolis so we can figure out where we're departing today. Okay, so for the current Minneapolis weather, winds are 160 at 19, gust 27, 10-mile visibility, few clouds at 16,000, scattered at flight level 220, broken at flight level 250, temperature is 22, dew point is 9, altimeter is 2913. We'll actually go ahead and get that set up here right now. 2913. There we go, 2913 set and cross-checked. That is a very low altimeter today. Minneapolis is currently departing runways 12 left, 12 right, and runway 17 in real life. They are landing the visuals 12 left and 12 right, and runways 4 and 22 are closed. So with that in mind, we'll go ahead and pull up the Minneapolis departure information. We'll be departing on runway 12 right, since that's the closer runway to us. We'll be taking out the Colt 7 departure, and we'll be taking the Dells transition. We'll go ahead and insert all of that into our flight plan. And then for Detroit, we'll go ahead and get the arrival information entered into Detroit right now. Detroit, we are currently scheduled to land on runway 22 right. We're going to be coming in on the ILS Zulu runway 22 right. We're going to be taking that via Valley. And for the Star, we're going to be coming in on the... I'm going to have to scroll down a little bit. We are currently scheduled to be coming in on the Rock City 2 arrival. And for the transition, we are going to be coming in from... We're going to be coming in from Porzel, so we'll put that in. We'll go ahead and insert that part of the flight plan. And now we can go ahead and check for any discontinuities. We do have one here, but that's for radar vectors out of Minneapolis. We do have this discontinuity here. That's just because there are 2 Dells VOR, so we'll go ahead and clear one of them. And that should clear that. And we can go ahead and delete that. And we'll go ahead and insert. And there we go. And now everything is correct for our departure. Make sure there is nothing else that needs to be checked. Nope, everything is looking good. We have our flight plan all in there. Next up, we'll go ahead and move on over to the fuel and load information. We'll go ahead and start getting that information in. For these numbers, we have a zero fuel weight of 356.8. There's our zero fuel weight. For the zero fuel weight CG, our number is 28.9. For the block fuel, we have 28.6. That's 28.7, 28.6, there we go. And our passenger number today is going to be 211. And there's all our numbers into the fuel and load page. That is all looking good. We'll then move on over to the perf page. And lastly down here, all we have to do is get the takeoff performance calculations. So I'll grab those here quickly. There we go. All our takeoff performance calculations have been completed. V1 today will be 138, VR 141, V2 146, flex temp 67, packs will be on, anti-ice off, flaps 1, and the takeoff trim will be this for 29.3. We'll go ahead and confirm all of those speeds, and we are looking good there. Just a couple other things we have to do here. We'll have to get our radios set up down here, so we'll go ahead and get our CTAF frequency for Minneapolis. CTAF is 126.7. We'll go ahead and get that in the standby position now. There we go. And then we can also turn on our radios. Make sure you do this for the A350. Make sure this box is green. If this is not on and this is not on, you're either not going to be transmitting to ATC or you're not going to hear ATC. So make sure that is in there. And we've got our CTAF frequency on standby. That's all looking good. We do also have to get our squawk code in. So we're going to come over to here to surveillance and our squawk code. Squawk code today is 2413. So we'll go ahead and put that in. 2413. We'll go ahead and enter that. And there we go. We'll leave it on standby currently since we aren't pushing back from the gate just quite yet. And then the last thing we have to do up here is get our autopilot prepped. Initial climb out today is 7,000, so I'll put that in. And that's basically it for the autopilot, and we are pretty much ready to go here. We'll get the APU started up, and while the APU fires up, we will go ahead and do our departure briefing out of Minneapolis. For our departure today, we're going to be pushing back tail to the right, tail to the south, onto Bravo, and then we'll probably just shift on over to Alpha and take Alpha all the way down to runway 12 right. We'll take off from Alpha 10. And that will be it for our taxi out of Minneapolis. For departure today, we're on the Colt 7 departure. It is radar vectors out of the airport first. We'll take off either slightly to the east or mainly southeast, turning to head direct to taxi, and then we'll basically be on the departure the rest of the way towards the Dales VOR. The only altitude constraint we have to watch for is initially we have to be at or above 3,500 on the way out of the airport. And then we do have our initial climb set for Jets 7,000. So we've got all that information in. And that's it for the departure out of Minneapolis. Nothing much to it. We are ready to go at this point and start the pushback.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
All right, we're about to start our pushback. Let's get a couple things prepped here. We'll switch over to the CTAF frequency 126.7. We'll get our transponder set up here on TARA, and that's all looking good there. We can go back to our flight plan. Go back over there. There we go. And then we just need to get the seatbelt sign on and the beacon light on. And everything else is good. GPU is off. APU is up. We're looking good.
Release parking brakes, please.
All right, parking brakes released. Here we go.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
And here we go. Pushback has started. We'll go ahead and get the fuel pumps on the overhead panel. All fuel pumps are on. We are good to go there. We can come on down to the lower panel. Engine mode start switch to ignition, and we'll start engine number 2.
Beside your seat. If instructed to use it, slip it over your head, fasten the straps, and pull them tight. Inflate by pulling the red tabs or blowing into the mouthpiece. Only inflate your vest when exiting the aircraft. There is a light whistle for attracting attention. There are 8 emergency exits on this aircraft.
All right, we got a good start on engine number 2. We'll go ahead and start engine number 1 up. There's the pin. And there's the wave. Have a good trip. Thank you, I will. All right, let's get everything else configured. We'll come on down here. We'll get the spoilers armed, flaps set to 1. There we go. Spoilers are armed. Flaps are 1. The rest of the lower panel is looking good. We've got our squawk on. The trim is set correctly, 29.2. Get the auto brake to RTO, and we'll do a takeoff config check right now. Make sure that's all good. Takeoff config is normal. Autopilot's looking good. And on the overhead panel, we can go ahead and shut the APU down. Get the taxi light on. And we're ready to go. Minneapolis traffic, Delta 1484 Heavy, taxiing to runway 12 right via Alpha, crossing runway 4 at Alpha, Minneapolis. Minneapolis traffic, Delta 1484 heavy, lining up runway 12 right, Minneapolis. Okay, clear on the right side, no traffic on the approach. Clear on the left side, no traffic on the runway. Let's also get all of our lights up here. Wing, landing light, nose to takeoff, and the strobes can come on. And 12 right is verified. Alright, here we go. We'll go ahead and start the clock. Minneapolis traffic, Delta 1484 heavy taking off, runway 12 right, Colt 7 departure, Minneapolis. Throttles up. Stable. Let's go. Manflex 67 SRS runway auto thrust blue. Takeoff power is set. Airspeed alive. 100 knots.
V1.
Rotate. Positive rate. Gear up. Minneapolis traffic, Delta 1484 heavy, clear runway 12 right, Minneapolis. Throttles to climb. We're going to go ahead and proceed direct to our first waypoint, that is taxi. The present position direct to. Confirm. We'll start making that left turn towards taxi now. Go ahead and follow our flight directors. I'll hand fly it for a little bit longer. And flaps up. Alright, through 5,000, we'll go ahead and get the autopilot on. We'll go up to flight level 410, our final cruising altitude. And there we go, we're climbing out of Minneapolis. And there's 10,000. We'll go ahead and let the crew know that we passed through 10,000. Take all of our lights off as well. Leave those lights all on. And there we go, that's all looking good. Also, since we've passed through 10,000, I'm going to go ahead and disarm the ground spoilers. And I'm also going to switch us over to 1228 for cruise, since there's no ATC on. And there we go. And we're just now passing 18,000. We can go back to standard pressure. And that shot us up to flight level 190 with the pressure being so low. But we are now on standard pressure, and we'll continue to climb up to flight level 410. Okay, we've reached our cruising altitude, flight level 410. We can go ahead and get the seatbelt sign off. There we go. And it's going to be a pretty smooth flight today over to Detroit. There's not much turbulence out there. There's a little bit over the Milwaukee-Chicago area, but we should be just north of that, so that shouldn't impact us. And there's no jet streams as well. There's a little bit of one coming in from the southwest, but we're just going to be on the edge of that, so that won't be giving us any speed boost or anything like that. Now, the next waypoint is Porzel, which is actually the first waypoint of the Rock City 2 arrival into Detroit, since we're already getting close to descent at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and do the arrival briefing now and get that all out of the way. We do also have Cleveland Center and Detroit Approach online today, so we'll have those controllers going into Detroit. So let's get the briefing done now, and we'll continue on east. For our arrival today, we are coming in on the Rock City 2 arrival. We're going to come in here from Porzel. We'll track in this way, make a right turn at Bucky to join the main star into Detroit. We do have to pass a couple altitude constraints and speed constraints on the way in. At Tinder, we need to be at 280 on the speed and between flight level 230 and 210. Down at Fraley, we need to be at 280 still on the speed and between flight level 190 and 16,000. At Simmons, we need to be at or above 12,000. At Rock City, we need to be at 260 on the speed and then between 13,000 and 11,000. At Dream, 230 on the speed, between 10,000 and 8,000. And then Valley, we need to be at 6,000 at a speed of 210. Detroit is currently doing visual approaches, but if for some reason the controllers log off, I've got the ILS Zulu 22 right in, and I also have that as my backup instrument approach for the visual. We'll track in here at Valley, make a right turn to join the localizer, track all the way in. At Valley, we're supposed to be at 6,000, then we'll descend down to 4,000 and pretty much stay level at 4,000. Slight descent down to 3,000, and then at 2,000, we'll capture the glide slope and descend into runway 22 right. The minimums are 842 today, and the go-around altitude is 4,000 on a heading of 297 to be vectored back in or to go into a hold pattern if necessary. More than likely, if we're doing visuals, we're probably going to get vectored in. We might get a shortcut to come in this way and then take the visual approach in from there, so we might get vectored in a little bit, but we'll see what approach does with us. Once on the ground at Detroit, we're going to be coming in 2-2 right here, all the way at the end. Either Alpha 3 or Alpha 2 for vacating, that's fine by me, either one's okay. And then we'll take, presumably, Alpha down to Quebec to get around the runways, and we'll take Quebec in straight into the ramp. They might give us Tango Juliet 9 as well, but our gate is somewhere over here, so we'll take one of these in onto the ramp, and then we will be parking over here. And our gate today is going to be Alpha 54. And there we go, that's our arrival briefing. I'm just going to get one last thing in here in preparation, and that is going to be our frequency for Cleveland Center. Cleveland is on 119875, so I'm going to put that in on the standby. And there we go, we've got everything done. Our approach briefings are completed. We've got our center frequency on standby for when we get into Cleveland's airspace, and we will be descending into Detroit shortly. Okay, there's actually one more thing I want to do before we get close to Detroit, and that is pick up the ATIS for Detroit. So I'm going to go ahead and get all that information now. Okay, Detroit ATIS information. November is current. Winds 150 at 11, gust 20, 10-mile visibility, broken, flight level 250 for the clouds, temperature 22, dew point 7, altimeter 2970. Simultaneous visual approaches, runways 21 left, 22 right in use. Departing runways 21 right, 22 left. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. Reback all runway hold short instructions. Operate transponder on mode Charlie on all taxiways and runways. Advise you have information November. Okay, so we now have ATIS November. We also did just get an auto ATC alert. VATSIM in the US has implemented an auto ATC system that basically gives you some pre-approach instructions in case there's no controllers online. We did get a instruction to cross Tinder at or below flight level 230. No separation services provided. Okay. So I'm actually going to go ahead and get that into our computer now. So I'm going to come down here. We need to go to Tinder. We're going to go ahead and go here. And we need to cross Tinder at or below flight level 230. And there we go. So that should now be in there. And it looks like it is good to go. Okay, Cleveland's airspace is just ahead of us. We are also about to start our descent. Our descent icon has appeared. We're going to get one last thing into the McDo here. I'm going to come into the performance page. We're going to go into the approach page. We're going to get all of this information filled in here. Detroit winds 150 at 11. We'll go ahead and put all of that in now. 150 at 11. Temperature is 22. There we go with that. And 2970 for the QNH. 2970. Oops, if I turn on the keyboard. 2970. There we go. And the minimums. Minimums are 842, so we'll go ahead and put that in. 842. Enter. Flaps full. That all looks good. Go ahead and clear that. And we are good to go. We'll go ahead and switch back to the flight plan. And we can also now check in with Cleveland Center. Cleveland Center, good afternoon. Delta 1484 Heavy, flight level 410.
Delta 1484 Cleveland Center, area contact 34 miles northeast of the Victory via Watson via the Rock City 2 arrival, runway 22 right, the metro altimeter 2970.
Descend via the Rock City 2, altimeter 2970, Delta 1484. Alright, we'll descend down to 6,000.
Good afternoon, Boeing, November 3010 Romeo, flight level 390 just above.
And we'll get the seatbelt sign on.
BOR.
November 10
There
Romeo,
we go.
Cleveland Center, ready to contact as reported, below.
Down we go.
American 2307, radar contact, say altitude.
Alright, so we passed Tinder, and that was where we needed to be at or below flight level 230. We have passed that. And so now we'll just follow all the altitude constraints on the star, unless ATC gives us something else. Alright, we're going through flight level 190. I'm going to get the altimeter on standby, which is 2970. I'm going to go ahead and put that in. There we go, 2970 is on standby for when we pass 18,000. And there's 18,000. We'll go ahead and put 2970 in.
Delta 1484, contact Detroit approach 132.02, see ya.
3202 Delta 1484, thanks for the ATC. Have a great rest of your day.
See ya.
Shoot. Alright, 3202. Detroit approach, good afternoon. Delta 1482 Heavy descending through 14,000 on the Rock City 2 with November.
Delta 1484 Detroit approach, expect the visual approach runway 22 right.
Expect the visual 22 right, Delta 1484 Heavy.
Delta 1484, turn right heading 130, vector 0 approach, descend and maintain 6,000.
6,000 right 130, Delta 1484. Start working on our turn here. Also descend down at 1,500. There we go. And then we're also through 10,000. We'll go ahead and let the crew know. All lights are on. We're good there. Also going to go ahead and pull the speed back to 210. And there we go. Pull some speed brakes out so we can slow down to 210. And there we go. We're level at 6,000. We'll go ahead and chill here for a little bit. Still a little bit of a ways out.
Delta 1484, turn right heading 150, diesel to maintain 3000.
Right 150 down to 3,000, Delta 1484. 150, 3,000. Put the speed brakes back in. And there we go. We're now on our way down to 3,000. Go ahead and bring the speed down to 190. We can also get some flaps out here. Alright, we're coming through 200. Let's go flaps 1. And they're going to ask me for the field, so I'm going to see if I can see the airport from where I am. Yep, I've got the field. I should go ahead and bring the speed down to 180 now.
2,500.
2,500 checked.
Delta 1484, turn right heading 190.
Right 190, Delta 1484.
And Delta 1484, the airport will be off to your 1 o'clock, 15 miles, report inside.
Inside, Delta 1484.
1484, thanks. The airstrike correction cleared, visual approach runway 22 right.
Cleared the visual, 22 right, Delta 1484. Alright, we're cleared for the visual. Let's go ahead and I'm going to actually go ahead and turn on approach mode just so it lines us up with the runway and descends us properly. And we'll go ahead and go flaps 2. Alright, we'll go ahead and drop the gear. Go ahead and arm our spoilers. I'll go ahead and bring the speed down to 160.
Delta 1484, winds 14011, gust 20, runway 22 right, clear to land.
Clear to land, 22 right, Delta 1484. Localizer captured. Glide slope captured. 6 miles from the airport, flaps 3. We'll get the auto brake also on. And we'll go flaps full. Definitely gusty. We'll go ahead and bring the speed down to 150. Alright, we'll go ahead and fully configure the speed now for approach speed.
1,000.
1,000 checked, stable. Go around altitude needs to be 4,000. I'm going to put that in now. Alright, gear down, 3 green, flaps full, spoilers armed, clear to land. Cabin is secure. We're good to go. Now, this is only my second time landing this plane.
500.
Let's see, 500 check. Let's see if I slam it or if I can actually get a smooth landing out of this.
400. $300.
We'll let it
100
take it
above.
in a little bit more before I take it off autopilot.
Sync rate.
200.
Alright, my aircraft.
Minimum
Continue.
Glide slow.
100.
Glide slow.
We're fine. Just gonna submarine it in.
50. 40. 30. Retard. 20. 10. 5.
And that was a nice slam. And we're down. Spoilers, reverse green. Auto brake decel.
90, heavy winds 14011, gust 20 on us to sound, runway 22 left, lift take
The
off.
auto brake off.
Roger, runway 22 left, overtake climb up that my light.
60 knots, reverser stowed. We'll vacate to the left. Alright, we'll go ahead and clean up the plane. Boilers back in, flaps all the way back up. The lights coming off.
Delta 1484 level to Metro, taxi Alpha, go back to the ramp.
Alpha, go back to the ramp, Delta 1484. Thanks for the ATC, have a great rest of your day.
Thank you very much, you too.
Thank you. Alright, we're on Alpha, left on Quebec. We'll get the APU started up here for the gates. And we can take the strobes off. And then we need to make a left turn here. Start that turn. Okay, so now we'll take Quebec all the way in. We're parking over there. Alright, we'll go ahead straight into the ramp from Quebec. Between the autopilot getting a little squirrely at the end and the winds, that was definitely not my finest landing. So apologies to anyone in the back who may have had anything fragile in your bags. That is 100% been destroyed now. And our gate's going to be on the right-hand side here. Alright, there's Alpha 54. I'm going to take the taxi light off. Get the APU bleed on. Start making the turn in. Alright, straight in, follow the marshaller. Keep it coming, keep it coming. I feel like I'm gonna run this guy over. Yep, I think I'm gonna run him over. Excuse me. I still see your wands. I still see you. Alright, we'll call it good there. Parking brake set. APU is up. And we can go ahead and shut down engines 1 and 2. And we can take the seatbelt sign off. And there we go. Did I knock the marshaller off the ladder? Let's see. Yep, I knocked him off. Sorry about that. If you'd like to file a complaint about me knocking you off, feel free to, but you're gonna have to get in line behind the 211 passengers that may have been bounced out of their seats when we landed in Detroit. So yeah, it's gonna be a minute for us to process your complaint. Okay, final shutdown checklist. Our engines are off. That's all looking good there. We'll go ahead and turn our transponder off. So we'll put this to standby. And then confirm that. Put this into off. Yep, confirm. That's all off. Everything up here is off. We can turn off the LS. And then up on the overhead panel, we can go ahead and take the seatbelt sign off. Oh, seatbelt sign is off. And there we go. Welcome to Detroit. Actually, just kidding. I did forget one more thing. Turn the beacon light off. Now we're shut down and everything's complete. And there we go. We are currently unloading the baggage. Passengers are heading off the plane. And we have completed our flight from Minneapolis to Detroit. And that is going to do it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content coming in the future. And I'll see you all in the next one.